taking a look at Office 365, and in particular, update branches, because there's several different bands of updates that you can participate in, and we'll take a look at the difference between them all. All right, so here I want to talk about updates and when they occur for Office 365. This is not something that I'm going to use to address right now, at least, in the entirety of Windows. For example, any generic security updates or feature updates, those sorts of things to the operating system itself. We're really addressing this with Office 365. Again, probably not an exam issue. It doesn't appear in the exam objectives, but another thing that's, I think, going to be important for you to know about. So I'm going to kind of delay some more of these exam objectives until we address this. And I'll be brief here. But one of the things I want to point you to, first of all, is this article. And if I zoom in on it, you can go see that it's at Windows IT Pro, and then you can make note of the remainder of that URL up there. Or you can just Google for it. There's lots of articles on the servicing branches for Windows 10. Now, Windows 10 and Office 365 are not directly congruent in every respect. For example, Windows 10 has something called the long-term servicing branch. Office 365 doesn't have that. Office 365 does have current branch. Well, so does this. We have current branch under Windows 10. We have current branch for business as well under Windows 10. Both of these branches are also in Office 365. Now, why am I doing this? Because it's kind of just gets confusing when you look at these, and some of them match up, some of them don't, right? Well, there are similarities here, and I think it's important to understand how updates work now with Windows 10. We'll talk more about updates at a future point in time in this series, because we do address updates for the operating system, which is what this article addresses. However, I just want you to be aware of the fact that not all versions of Windows have the same update schedule. And some of them, for example, the long-term servicing branch, and you might have seen me working with that because it shows it down the wallpaper down in the lower right on some of my screens. These, you can delay updates a long time. Okay, so the reason for that is because a lot of times the long-term servicing branch machines that administrators will deploy might be operating complex machinery, for example, or something that's extremely mission critical. They might be spinning nuclear centrifuges, and we wouldn't want an update to Microsoft's calculator or something like that to all of a sudden cause that centrifuge to go haywire and cause a nuclear holocaust or something like that. So that's why the long-term servicing branch, they put off a lot of those things until they've been, pretty thoroughly tested and so on. Anyway, that's kind of a one fork in the road with updates. It's this with the operating system itself. And I distinguish that from the updates for Office 365 Pro Plus. The names are similar, the updates are similar, but Office 365 Pro Plus does not have an update branch for long-term servicing branch, just to be aware of that. Now, this article here is also very important to the whole discussion. I would recommend that you certainly type that into your browser and take a look at this. And for the rest of this, I'm just going to kind of summarize all of this for you and use a graphic to kind of describe how this works out. All right, now I lifted this graphic from the article that I just showed you so that I could enlarge it, first of all, because it's too small on the web page, and also so that I could then mark it up here so that I could just show you different things. So what I want to take a look at here is three different branches. We have current branch represented by these, I guess, red squares. First release current branch for business, represented by these orange squares, and then current branch for business, represented by these maroon squares, and then we have updates that are security updates only, that are the yellow ones. Okay, so how does this all happen? And this is all a chronology moving from left to right. First of all, this again only applies to Office 365. Okay, there's similarities to Windows 10 itself, but really this mostly applies just to Office 365. Now, the current branches that we have down here, that's going to be the default update branch for things such as Visio Pro for Office 365, Project Pro for Office 365, and Office 365 Business, such as Business Premium. Okay, the current branch for business, right up here, I'm kind of skipping up here, that's going to be the default branch for Office 365 Pro Plus. That's what I've been demonstrating mostly thus far. And then you'll have the first release for current branch for business. That's not the default for anybody. You have to turn that on, and I'll show you how to do that. But I could go from my current branch for business here, and I could turn on the first release current branch for business to get more up-to-date stuff. Okay. Now, what happens in these updates, and what does our chronology look like here? Well, first of all, Office 2016 was released either today or yesterday. I can't remember. Anyway, that's how short my memory is. It might have been released yesterday. I already forgot about it. Anyway, so it was released at this point in time, right at the beginning of time for Office. Okay. Now, at that point, this is the first month for current branches. This is the first month for first release current branch for business. They both have the exact identical copy of Office 2016. Okay, there's really not any difference. But as time goes by, current branches will get updates in the second month, and the third month, and the fourth month, and this is every kind of update. It's not beta updates or hot fixes or anything like that. They're fully supported updates that you might have been accustomed to getting in previous versions of Office, that you're used to. But they will be things such as security updates, stability improvements, performance improvements, that sort of thing. And it can also be, and this is important, it can also be new features or improvements to existing features. That all happens under current branches. Now, these current branch for business, whether it's the first release current branch for business or current branch for business, we're a little bit more hesitant to get the latest, breaking updates from Microsoft, because we might have, macros, add-ons, that sort of thing, add-ins that are not compatible sometimes with newer updates. And, last year we got an update that caused the whole system to crash, and everybody got upset with the IT department. So we're not too keen on all the latest updates here that you might get in the current branches. But what we do want, and what we will receive in the first release current branch for business, is all the other updates except for new features or improvements to existing features. We still get security updates, security enhancements, improvements, and performance improvements. That sort of thing, okay? The main idea here is with the first release current branch for business, you really just don't get new or improved features, okay? But anyway, time marches on. So we get those updates as well. We just don't get the new or improved features. Now, what happens here at the end of the fourth month, beginning of the fifth month, at this delineation right here, is that the current branches will accumulate all of its new features and put it into this update, which is also going to be the same thing now that the first release current branch for business receives. So again, we're both on the same page right at this point in time. Okay, we've received all of the updates from the current branch from the previous 4 months right to here. Now, the current branch for business right here, this is their first application of any updates for Office 365. So what this means is, by the way, that they will not even receive Office 2016 until 4 months after we've received it at this level over here on the left. Okay, so 4 months later, they will receive it. Now remember, once the current branch for business does receive its first deployment of Office 2016, it's going to be identical to the first release current branch for business. Okay, because remember, right at the beginning of Office 2016, it had a set of features. They were never added to or improved upon for this entire 4-month period of time. And so now we take all of what's true of first release current branch for business, plug it into current branch for business in their first deployment of Office 2016. So they're not going to get Office 2016 until 4 months after Office 2016 is released, basically. And then from that point forward, they only get security updates in the second, third, fourth month for current branch for business. Now, the other thing to keep in mind here is support for Microsoft. Microsoft fully supports all of these updates down at the bottom and all of these updates down through here in the middle as well. They're not betas, they're not hot fixes or anything like that, right? So what happens, though, here is that with current branch for business, 4 months later down the road, they get their second deployment. And again, it's going to be kind of a big one probably because it's going to be an accumulation or a roll-up of lots of different updates that have been taking place here. Then what will happen is they will now receive all the new features that were true at this point for the first release current branch for business, right? Because there's no new or improved features all the way through here, right? So now they get those sets of features. Now, Microsoft will support this for 2 consecutive updates, all right, at the current branch for business level. So that Microsoft will support them. So this is the 4th, this is the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th month here. It's supporting them all the way through here, all right. However, if the IT department, let me erase some stuff here, decided to skip the second current branch for business update, because you can skip it if you want to, and they say, we don't want to do that, we don't want to just skip this. Then, once the current branch for business 3 comes out, they're no longer supported. because Microsoft will support these previous 8 months of updates, but now they're going to go past that. Okay, so they're not going to be supported anymore. So if they want support at this point, what they'll have to do is either to change their minds and go back with this update after all, 4 months in retrospect, so to speak, and then now they'll be updated throughout. And supported, actually, more importantly. So here we're, by default, in our subscription, our E3 Office 365 subscription, we are on the current branch for business. Okay, but here I've gone to the Office 365 admin portal. Notice that they do have a new look that you can check out if you want to. By the time you get this, they may have switched over to this one permanently, but not all the features are there yet. So, for example, the stuff I'm about to show you, there's no place in here anywhere to click on and get there. There's no way to get there. You can't get there from here. So I'm going to go back to the classic view here for our purposes. But Microsoft does change the UI frequently here. So just be aware of the fact that that does happen. Anyway, what we want to do here is to go down to Service Settings, and then we want to go to Updates. Now, I've already done this in my case right here, but what you can do is to change from the standard release, I'll just say yes for now, the standard release, which is get updates when we release them broadly. In other words, every 4 months. Okay, is how that works out. Or you can go with first release, and what they really should have typed in here is first release current branch for business. And the standard release should say current branch for business. It would be much more intuitive to understand that that's what you're actually dealing with here. Now I could go first release for the entire organization if I don't have a lot of macros or add-ins and things like that that I think will cause a potential problem or line of business apps. Or I could choose select people. And in my case, I've only got a couple of users that I want to work with anyway, but I'm just going to work with my trainer account. Actually, I used Azure, didn't I? So I actually brought everybody in. But anyway, I'm just going to use this account, and let's just do another one just for fun. Phoenix user 01. Okay, I think I have that user here as well. So let's say that user also, I would allow them to test out all the latest and greatest features in first release current branch for business. And then as I scroll down and save, then we will now be able to do that. And it says it may take up to 24 hours to take effect. For me, it took about 5 minutes, and I could then deploy newer versions of Office. Now then, how would I actually get my new version of Office? Well, I can go here to Office 365, and then down here where it says install, this is the same way we would have done to install Office 2013. But notice this. It says, install the latest version of Office. Well, that sounds great. I'm sure I'm going to get the latest version by clicking here and then clicking install, right? No. Try down a little bit further. Try the next version of Office. It's not the latest version of Office. It's the next version of Office, which is what we really want to install here. And that's going to be Office 2016. And that, again, is the first release thing that we are working with here. So we'll go ahead and let that get launched. And we've seen an installation before, so when it's done, I'll just show you that indeed we do have Office 2016 installed. If we look right now, we don't have any Office 2000 anything installed right now. Okay, so when it's done, we'll take a look. All right, well, I just decided to start recording again. This has taken a long time. Every time something takes a long time in this whole series, I go out and get something to eat. I just went and got a whole bucket of KFC chicken. Oh, curse that Colonel and his secret recipe. Anyway, so you can see here it's still installing, but once again, since it's click to run, I do have Word 2016 at least available here. I think I should have the other apps as well, a lot of them. Like there's Access 16, PowerPoint 2016, and so forth. So let's just go ahead and open one of these, and you'll see that, certainly, there we go. Now that's because, again, we are in that first release for current branch for business. Oh boy. I shouldn't have eaten that whole bucket of KFC chicken. My belly's growing faster than the internet. All right, here we studied Office 365. In particular, we looked at update branches and the various different ones you can use, and then we installed Office 2016. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.